Transparency and openness, let me welcome each and every one of you to yet another of the Premier's monthly press conferences. A special welcome to members of Cabinet, permanent secretaries, top government officials, of course, Superintendent David, members of the press corps, and you, our listening and viewing audience. The format for this morning's press conference is as per usual. The Premier will make his statement, and the members of the press corps will be given the opportunity to ask their questions. You're kindly asked to give your name and the organization which you represent. Please, as a reminder, turn your phones on silent, or if circumstances allow, please turn them off. Without further gilding the lily, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the podium the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark A.G. Brantley.
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be back here for another monthly press conference. I know they have now become commonplace, but I would remind members of the press that it was not always so, and that this is one of the things that we have introduced as we continue to advocate for greater transparency in government. And we're delighted that the Premier now has a press conference and that the members of the press can certainly ask questions. I thank all of you for being here. I believe our usual master of ceremonies, Pierce Wakely Daniel, has obviously mentioned all who are here, the permanent secretaries, head of our police force here in Nevis, cabinet colleagues. Thank you all, members of the press. I start, as I often do, by extending some congratulations. Mrs. Emmentine Thompson of Brownhill, we all know Emmentine very well, one of our leading agricultural workers here and proprietors. I think she's not just a worker, she's a businesswoman. And I'm told that she placed first again in the off-island category at the 49th Annual Agriculture and Food Fair held in St. Croix. This is noteworthy because this is the 11th consecutive year that she has won this category. And I want to applaud her and her family. Imagine going down to St. Croix 11 years in a row and winning this category as the off-island best at the 49th Annual Agriculture and Food Fair, AgriFest, in St. Croix. So congratulations to her. I also would want to extend congratulations to a young man, Mr. Jamai Tyson. They know him as Fudd, from Cotton Ground. He's recently been promoted to the position of landscaping supervisor at the Four Seasons Resort. And we would want to commend him and to encourage him to continue to strive for higher heights. You know, people often ask me, why is it you take time to say these things? And I say to them, I take time to say these things because whenever our people excel, we excel. And we encourage our people, particularly our young people, to continue to do their best. What is of significance is that we took a position in 2013 when we got back into government. And that position that we took was that we would work closely with the Four Seasons Resort as a significant employer on the island, and said to them that whenever they needed work permits, they had to justify. And as part and parcel of our engagement with them, they had to do more to promote local people. And so if you see a lot of local people moving up in the management structure, it is a direct consequence of government policy and government engagement with that hotel. And so we are very proud of that, and we want to extend congratulations to young Mr. Tyson. The Nevis female cricket team, I'm told, defeated their Kittian counterparts in 2 matches on 1st February and 8th February. We congratulate them. I'm also told that Mr. Carlisle Powell was elected as the new president of the Nevis Cricket Association on Wednesday, the 5th of February. We extend congratulations, of course, to Mr. Powell and hope that he can deliver for cricket in Nevis. As we all know, cricket in Nevis is something that we're passionate about, and we trust and hope that we can move forward in relation to that. Nevis is now on election watch. I believe that I would have, consistent with my constitutional duty, declared March 5th as election day in a by-election in the parish of St. Thomas. That parish, constituency number 5 in the Nevis Local Assembly, Nevis Island Assembly, has become necessary because, of course, Mr. Joseph Walcott Parry, who was the elected representative for Nevis 5, has decided to step aside. And therefore, with 3 years left to go, the good people of St. Thomas's Parish will have a decision to make on the 5th of March in terms of who they elect to be their representative. We have said that they have a choice. In a democracy, we always have a choice. And their choice is to send their representative to opposition or send their representative to government. I believe that we have made the case and continue to make the case, and we'll continue down to election day to make the case that it is better to send their representative to the government and to the cabinet, where a chair is already waiting for him. Mr. Scarborough is the candidate for the Concerned Citizens Movement, the party that I'm pleased to lead and the party that is currently in government. And whatever happens on the 5th of March will remain in government for at least the next 3 years. And so we continue to invite the good people of St. Thomas's Parish to vote wisely and make a wise decision. We are also in the throes of celebration of Team Unity, having 5 years in government, and a host of activities have occurred across the Federation. I think there was a significant church service here at the Shiloh Baptist Church, and also there was a massive concert where local acts and, I'm told, Morgan Heritage, world-famous reggae band, came for a free concert at the Cultural Village. I'm told it was well attended, and all went well. It was peaceful, no incidents, and so we thank all who came out and enjoyed themselves in that regard, and trust and hope that we can continue in that vein. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to remind us all that we are in the throes of a crisis that has engulfed the world in relation to this coronavirus, or as it's now being called, COVID-19. And the St. Kitts and Nevis has responded with some alacrity, and we have a travel restriction, imposed travel restrictions. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis wishes to remind citizens and residents to restrict travel to China until the World Health Organization gives the all clear in relation to COVID-19, the coronavirus. Citizens and residents were first notified of this travel advisory on February 1st, 2020, following the WHO declaration on January 30th. So we responded quickly. WHO made a declaration on January 30th. We responded by the 1st of February with a travel ban. This WHO announcement is that novel coronavirus, or COVID-19, constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. The coronavirus has, as February 20, 2020, based on the details we have, caused a total of 2,130 deaths and 75,781 infections, with most of these occurring in mainland China. The Federal Ministry of Health wishes to remind persons with plans to travel to China to postpone their plans for the immediate future. Persons traveling from China or who have traveled to another country from China within the last 14 days are asked to remain where they are and not to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis, and this advisory remains in effect for citizens, residents, and all travelers. In the event that there are persons who have traveled to St. Kitts and Nevis from China, such persons are hereby informed that they will be subject to screening at the port of entry and may, if necessary, have their movements restricted either at home or at other appropriate facilities based on a risk assessment. This is in line with the WHO's guidelines that in the event of international exportation of cases, all countries should be prepared for containment, including active surveillance, early detection, isolation, case management, and contact tracing to prevent onward spread. Every visitor or returning national or resident to the Federation must, and I emphasize must, complete question 17 of the immigration card, which demands disclosure of the countries which a passenger would have visited during the past 6 weeks prior to arrival in the Federation. The responses to this question will be considered seriously in determining how the passenger will be handled thereafter by immigration and health officials. Citizens, residents, and businesses with interest in the hotel, tourism, and allied services sector are hereby asked to be guided accordingly by this travel advisory. While St. Kitts and Nevis is the smallest jurisdiction in the Western Hemisphere, our government still takes seriously its commitment to protect our borders and the health and wellness of all citizens and residents. Persons who may require additional information can get that information from health authorities, both in St. Kitts and in Nevis. I would want to commend the health officials here on the island of Nevis, particularly those at the Health Promotion Unit. I think everybody knows that's one of my favorite units in government. The reason for that is they have been out front, and I've already seen that they have been helping to educate us all in terms of frequent washing of hands, in terms of covering one's face if one were to sneeze or cough, in terms of wearing a mask if one thinks that that will help. But generally, if one has flu-like symptoms, to stay at home, not to come to school, not to come to work, as the case may be, and not to seek to infect others. This coronavirus is clearly very serious, or what's it called? No, COVID-19. It's very serious, and we want to treat it seriously. So for those who don't need to travel, stay home. And of course, if you're traveling to China, you have to be very careful, and we're encouraging people not to unless required. The truth, however, is that the COVID-19 virus has now spread globally. It's now in Europe, it's in China, it's in other countries, even in the United States. And so we have to be prepared for any eventuality here on the island of Nevis and in the wider Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Staying with the theme of health, the Ministry of Health has just been able to purchase 2 portable NIA Port X2 dental X-ray machines. These came at a cost of some $11,000 US. These are small, lightweight machines which can be dismantled and carried easily, have a relatively low radiation output. The design permits easy and simple use, produces image quality comparable to conventional wall-mounted X-rays, and these will be deployed at our dental units. And so we have invested yet again in equipment to advance the quality of healthcare that we have here. I would also want to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Juan Carlos Hernandez and Dr. Dolores Tornes Corrales, both specialists. One is an internist and the other is an anesthesiologist. They came from Cuba. They were employed through our diplomatic relations with that country. I say diplomacy matters. This is an example of diplomacy actually mattering. The doctors joined the staff at Alexandria Hospital in the middle of January and will be offering services in the area of internal medicine, anesthesia, and critical care. These are the services. You would recall that we had a local doctor who was an internist. She has gone to other employment elsewhere. And we had an anesthesiologist, and we lost that one, I believe, who has gone elsewhere as well. And so we've had to replace both. I'm happy that we have. I want to commend Madam Minister Hazel Brandy Williams, who has, I know, been instrumental in getting this done, and the people of Nevis can now breathe a little easier knowing that we have the specialist care that they deserve and that they need at our hospital. And so I'm grateful that these 2 doctors, Dr. Juan Carlos Hernandez and Dr. Dolores Tornes Corrales, are both here, and we welcome them and hope that their tenure here will be long and successful. The Ministry of Health also wishes to place on record profound thanks to the Four Seasons Homeowners Foundation and the Nevis branch of the St. Kitts and Nevis Red Cross for organizing and facilitating the recently concluded First Responders Training and Fact-Finding Mission, aimed at assessing our emergency medical services and dispatch system with a view to upgrading them. 16 persons, medical, fire, and police, participated in the 5-week training exercise. The ministry was also recipient of 3 automatic external defibrillators at the closing ceremony on Monday, 24th February, held at the Alexandria Hospital. Participants were all trained in the use of this new equipment. The Ministry of Gender Affairs have asked us to take note of the following days. Ministry of Health and Gender Affairs, March 4th, World Obesity Day. 8th March, International Women's Day. The theme this year, Generation Equality, Coexistence of Men and Women. 12th March, World Kidney Day. The theme, Kidney Health for Everyone, Everywhere, from prevention to detection and equitable access to care. And 24th March, we have World Tuberculosis Day. And so we continue to do what we can to ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis, and the island of Nevis more specifically, is current and that we continue to participate on these significant world events. Let me switch very quickly to public works, where we've had some pretty impressive performance. And I believe that public works is one of those areas where when they perform, we see it. You know, we see it. If you say you have a new anesthesiologist at the hospital, people may not see that unless they need the services. But when you drive on a road or you see a building, you see it. Public works is transforming the physical landscape that people can see. That's why maybe many ministers want to be minister of public works, because you know their works are seen and seen very easily. Well, they have been doing some excellent work. And they have, in conjunction with the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, based in Barbados, they have granted a consultancy to an entity called Open Plan. This is a consultancy firm out of the UK, to review the Nevis draft physical planning, development plans, 2005, 2008, and 2017. This has been coordinated through the Department of Physical Planning. And these people, Open Plan, are here, and they are having a number of consultations. I am specifically inviting the public on Friday, 28 February 2020, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. to come to the Charleston Memorial Square for an interactive session with the consultants for their vision for the area where you reside on island. So put differently, if you're from Cox or you're from Hanley's Road, you would want to come and hear what they're proposing that area might be zoned for and how we are going to seek to develop. Planning and proper planning is critical, especially for a small island like ours. We have seen mistakes made in the past. We have even seen litigation where people have gone to court, taking the government to court, and we have seen some of the judgments that the court has given. And so we are seeking to get to a point where we get it right, where we get it as right as we can, as perfect as we can. And that is why we're in a continuous process. Planning, if done well, is critical for the overall development of the island. And so we encourage people to go out on the 28th of February from 10 a.m. to Memorial Square, right in Charlestown, to be a part of it. The roadworks, I'm very happy to say to the people of Brown Hill that their project is coming to a close. I am reliably informed that asphalting will be undertaken within the next 3 weeks, and that with the best remedial work that needs to be done, that will be out of Brown Hill no later than April. Mr. Brand, I'm holding you to that because we need to be able to drive on our brand new road all the way, not just some of the way in Brown Hill. Craddock Road is also moving nicely. I know the people are very happy. Remedial works on Big Rock towards Main Street, Charlestown have commenced. Earthwork should start on this section of the road in 3 weeks, and works are also ongoing from Big Rock to Pinneys. We anticipate that paving from Big Rock to Nepak intersection to start next week. And I know the people of Craddock Road are happy because the roads are wider, straighter, and in much better condition, part and parcel of this government's commitment to improve the infrastructure. Other minor road works are ongoing in Hanley's Road and Stony Grove. Drainage works are being executed at Rollins Village and Cocoa Gut. We are, of course, appealing to the traveling public to exercise due care and attention when driving in these areas wherever road works are happening. So we're making the roads better, but please don't speed. Don't be reckless on the roads, and don't have us regret the investment that we are making. We are making it better so as to make traversing our island better and easier, enhancing people's property value. But at the same time, we're asking motorists to be sensible in their use of the road and to take all due care and attention. Good news as well for the hard-working people at the government repair shop. We have heard their cries, and we're starting to do some repairs there. A shed is going to be put up for the welders, and the Department of Public Works will be inspecting all government buildings as part of its building repairs and maintenance program for 2020. Part of that inspection, I've asked them, is to ensure that we also involve the good folks at the Bureau of Standards in St. Kitts. So we check for mold and we check for those as well, because we recognize that more and more that's becoming an issue. And I can say to the public that we have taken it quite seriously, and that the gentlemen from the Bureau of Standards, the good workers, they have been in Nevis and have been here quite frequently testing our different buildings. And we'll continue to do so as we ensure the safety of our workers and our public. Water, always an important matter. And again, I would want to commend Minister Brand and his entire team, his permanent secretary, Dr. Stapleton, Mr. Stanley, who's the assistant, principal, assistant permanent secretary, but the entire team, because they have really done a tremendous job, world-class job in relation to water. I commented, just last night I was on a program, and I commented that I drove through Hamilton the other day and came upon a tank towering off, how much feet in the air, 40, 60? 40 feet in the air, just as if it had risen out of thin air. And, you know, sometimes perhaps so much is happening we don't talk about enough. But the truth is we have done an amazing job in relation to water. And water development, we know that we have invested significantly in more storage and better distribution. We are also, however, now investing also in more water, getting an increased flow of water. And the pump was tested up there at Hamilton, started on January 29th and completed about a week and a half later. Final flow rate, I think members of the press, you'll like to hear this. The final flow rate from the well there is 230 imperial gallons per minute or 330,000 gallons per day. So that's significant addition of water into the system. We have to be completed up there pump station, power installation, pump and motor installation, and disinfection of the pump line. The old concrete tank roof at Hamilton Reservoir, the capacity of that is 300,000 gallons, and the Nevis Water Department is in the process now of repairs there, removing that roof and getting new materials. We have a structural system design. Out of Barbados is doing the design for the roof, and we hope to have that shortly so that we can implement that as well and bring that tank back into commission. A new reservoir has been supplied and installed by Florida Aquastore, corrosion-resistant glass fuse to steel water storage tank. That's the tank I saw. And so that has been done. That was completed on the 1st of February, and it has additional capacity of 400,000 gallons. New pipelines, pump line installed, tank has been disinfected, and importantly, members of the press, has been in service as of the week of February 16th, feeding Charleston Government Road, Stony Grove, and Craddock Road areas. So we put it in service even before we announce it, that the people in that city area now have access to the water that is coming from that 400,000 gallon brand new tank there. Filtration system I've mentioned, just by way of update. The good people from AdEdge who are putting that in place, they are currently on island. The dismantling of the fiberglass tank started this week and should be completed this week, and they are waiting power connection for both the reservoir and well connections. When that well at Hamilton is completely operational, we expect that it will bring massive relief in terms of the water supply. And we understand. People want to put on their showers, the people need water. Water is essential. And I've said to my colleagues, and if they recall, time and time again, nothing loses a government quicker than when people have no water and no electricity. And we have invested, we have buckled down, we have not just talked about it, we've seen the problem, and we have sought to remedy the problem. Now some more good news, ladies and gentlemen. The non-established workers, or auxiliary workers, as they are known. We know that there are people in the system who have worked 40, 50 years sometimes, and they have no security. Because they, when they came into the system, for one reason or the other, may not have had the necessary qualifications that the public service requires in order for them to be appointed. Many of them have worked long, and Public Works and Water Department, Ministry of Health, we have a lot of those workers, and they have given tremendous service. But whereas when the public servants, the civil servants leave, they have pensions and that kind of thing. When the non-established workers or the auxiliary workers leave, they don't have any such arrangement. Well, we are seeking to fix that. And legislation was proposed in St. Kitts to deal with that at a federal level. A committee would have recently met under the chair of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communication and Works, to look at the current practices in providing non-established workers with some type of retirement benefit package, and to make recommendations to the Cabinet to approve and formalize a written policy for retirement benefit packages for our NE workers. The composition of the committee: Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communication and Works is chairing the committee, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Permanent Secretary, Premier's Ministry, Permanent Secretary, Human Resources, Permanent Secretary, Tourism, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, and a representative from the Legal Department and the Chief Labor Officer. A draft policy should be coming soon, and so I say, make bold to say to our NE workers, who I know have, as they come closer to retirement, some level of concern and anxiety, that we are aware and we will seek to do what we can to assist and to give them a bit more comfort in their later years as they retire. For those who are in the system now, however, and who are NE workers, I would ask them to continue to try to upgrade their skills and their qualifications. I get a lot of calls sometimes from public servants who said to me, oh, I work in 10 years now and I can't get appointed. And they have it as if they're vexed with me, because that is the case. And I tell them, well, don't be vexed with me, because to be appointed, there are some requirements. Have you satisfied the requirements? So rather than using the energy to cuss the minister and to cuss your supervisor, use the energy and get the subjects that are required. And that is my recommendation, because that is what the system requires. Those are the rules. So a lot of times when people say, oh, this young lady just came 2 years and she done appointed. I here for 6. And I ain't appointed yet. It is perhaps because the young lady comes having academic qualifications. And that is why I want to commend our PS Elliott, because he and his team have really been trying to do more to educate our public servants and just let them know what the rules are and what they themselves need to do in order to put themselves in the best possible position. Being appointed is not a favor. It's not because you support a party. It's not because you're somebody's friend. Being appointed flows from having the requisite qualifications to be appointed. And so for those who are in the system now, who are not yet appointed and who want to be appointed, we encourage them to do what they need to do. To check with their supervisor, check with human resources, find out what the requirements are, and to proceed accordingly. And for those who have worked long and hard without being appointed, we are now saying that some relief is on the way. And I want to thank certainly those involved in the process and to wish Pierre Stapleton, you and the team, good deliberations, and we look forward to getting something soon in terms of a policy going forward. Some more good news, ladies and gentlemen. We learned around about February 19th that St. Kitts and Nevis was given a clean bill of financial health from the European Union. The so-called tax group, code of conduct group, gave us a passing grade and said that we are no longer on any list. They call the list black, I don't know why, but we are no longer on any list. Let me put it that way. Instead of saying blacklist, let me say bad list. We are not on any bad list. Now that for me is significant. It is very significant, because you would recall that we were forced to go into the parliament here close to Christmas 2 years running in order to meet deadlines that were imposed. The federal government also had to go to the parliament over there. And working together on the advice of our technical team, whom I would wish to give all the credit, because they're the ones who told us what we should do. We accepted that advice, we went to the parliament, and the consequence is that the European Union has said to us, you have passed whatever the test it is that they have imposed. We have said to them, thank you, but in future, let us have some dialogue. Let us have a discussion. So that rather than taking punitive measures against small countries such as ours, let us first discuss what needs to be done and see how we can meet the concerns. But good news, nevertheless, that we no longer have to deal with that. And this, of course, follows on from October 2018, when the OECD Global Forum on Transparency and Exchange of Information published a second-round peer review report on St. Kitts and Nevis and gave us a grade of largely compliant. Largely compliant. That's a grade, I'm told, that United States and big countries like that have as well. So I think we're in good company. I know members of the public and the press probably get tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to say it again today. We have some outstanding scholarships that we are hopeful that young people and people generally will take advantage of. We are doing everything we can. The good people at Human Resources, Lord, sometimes I feel sorry for them. They call, they send out emails, they send out notices, they put it on Facebook. And I am encouraging our people. You know how people tend to see some rumor, bad news or some scandal, and then share like crazy. Before you know it, they got 1,000 shares. Everybody wants to see. But good news, opportunities. And then you hear people say, I didn't know. So if some of you get tired of hearing me say so, it's because I believe there's some value in repetition for good news. The Taiwanese scholarships are still available. Deadline has not yet passed. The deadline for the MOFA scholarship is 16th of March, and for the ICDF is the 2nd of March. So the ICDF is right around the corner in terms of a deadline. MOFA, 16th of March. Indonesia has offered us some scholarships. The deadline, 2nd of March. The University of the Virgin Islands has offered some assistance as well. The deadline, 30th of March. And NEVLEC is offering a scholarship, and that is still open as well. So I'm encouraging our people, please, the deadlines are fast approaching, and the Ministry of Human Resources is inviting everyone to come, step forward, put your right foot forward. If some of you are here, members of the press, it's home to you too. You feel the need. Take advantage of the opportunities. People say, what are you doing for young people? And I point all the time to the educational opportunities that did not exist in my time. In my time, when you got a scholarship, you know that you are one of the luckiest people in the world. You had to be at the very top of the academic chain to qualify. Now we're saying, well, maybe that's not appropriate language, but I'll use it anyway. Scholarship a bang dog now. Available. And yet I find our poor parents still going to bank to borrow money, burdening themselves with $80,000, $100,000 in debt when they have free. And so I'm encouraging our people, hear this, the Taiwanese scholarships still open. Indonesian scholarships still open. UVI, right there in St. Thomas and St. Croix, still open. NEVLEC scholarship, still open. And that's not all. People say, what is this government doing? And let me go and tell you a little bit more. The Ministry of Human Resources is pleased to inform that we are now accepting applications from all persons. I like that word all. Tut, Mun, Sam, and Bagay. Everybody interested in receiving financial aid from the NIA. So you see, we're not just saying we get scholarships from countries and organizations. We're also saying that the NIA itself has allocated resources to provide financial aid. No, these are not full scholarships, but we provide assistance to students who are going abroad to study. Interested persons must adhere to the following guidelines for applications to be considered. They must send a cover letter addressed to the Permanent Secretary of Human Resources requesting financial assistance. The letter should state the course of study, why they wish to undergo the specified field of education, how will such training influence their professional development, how will their professional development contribute to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the commencement date and expected duration of studies. An original university acceptance letter, a breakdown of the course fees, and a completed financial assistance application form. Please note, and this is important, please note that applications must be delivered to the Ministry of Human Resources by May 1st, 2020. Today, I believe, is the 27th of February. And I'm making an announcement today, 27th of February. You got all of March, all of April. May 1st, 2020 is the deadline. For additional guidance, please contact the good people at the Ministry of Human Resources. P.S. Edson Elliott, Mrs. Shanola Murray-Gill, or Ms. Ronnie Williams. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that this is important because this government continues to invest in young people. We continue to invest in our people. We say people matter most. It is what has informed our decision-making process as a government. And when these opportunities are extended, the reason I've noted the deadline is because despite, again, our best efforts, you still find people show up in August and say they didn't know. And they're looking for assistance. And sometimes you have to tell people that the horse done bolt. The ship has sailed. And then they get upset with you. So I'm saying on the 27th of February, the NIA is offering financial assistance to those who wish to study abroad. Please reach out. You have until the 1st of May to apply. I don't speak Spanish and French. I can't say it in any other language. So I'm saying it in English. Encouraging people to apply. I keep telling us, you hear food sharing, carry your bowl. And this habit we have of sitting back and doing nothing. And then at long last, when the crunch comes, we start to say, we didn't know. Nobody tell us anything. Well, I'm telling. And I know the people at Human Resources have been telling about scholarships and training opportunities that are available. And we encourage people to take advantage of them. Very proud as well that the NIA will host its second annual reception for returning university graduates on Saturday the 29th of February at the Botanical Gardens. We are honoring 34 returning graduates this year. I want us to just let that sink in for a moment. Last year we had the inaugural, and I've said to the team, let's continue. I think it's Human Resources collaborating with education. Let us continue to do this. And this year we are honoring 34 young people who have come home having satisfied their examiners and have been awarded masters, bachelors, Any PhDs in the batch this year? Master's and bachelor's degrees. And we say, it's our way again of saying to them, not only are we asking you to take scholarships, not only are we providing some financial assistance to you when you go and study, but when you come back, we also want to recognize you, because we recognize that it takes some effort from people to go and take 3, 4, sometimes longer out of their life to put themselves in a better position and equip themselves accordingly. Moving quickly to the Ministry of Education Library Services, we were able to celebrate with 16 persons who retired, and we had a lovely ceremony at NIPAC on February 8th, a show of appreciation to those who would have retired after giving tremendous service. When I listened to the bios of some had toiled for up to 40 years in various aspects of the Ministry of Education and Library Services. And so I would want to thank the Minister, Honorable Troy Liburd, PS, Mr. Barrett, the PO as well, and all of those who were so instrumental in bringing this to life, because I was there. And they say that the thing that matters most in the world to people is being shown some appreciation. And while we didn't have money to give them, a lot of hotels, I'm told, stepped up, and people got weekends at various hotels in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I'm very happy that the private sector partnered, and that these good people who toil long and hard, and even now, some of them continue to offer their services in different ways, that we're able to show them our appreciation. And so we're grateful to them for that. Let me shift quickly to the Ministry of Social Development. Very happy that on February 6th, they visited Her Majesty's Prison, and they made a presentation of a drum set and a bass amplifier to the Reformation Prison Band at Her Majesty's Prison. I would want to commend Minister Evelyn and the team. Many times I think when our people run afoul of the law and have to spend some time at Her Majesty's Prison, we forget them. Truth is that other than those serving life sentences, and even those sometimes get an opportunity to come back into society, the majority of prisoners will come back into society. They are our brothers and sisters, they are our children, they are our cousins, and they're members of our community. And so I know that the Ministry of Social Development, this is not the first time, that they have been very involved in assisting in that rehabilitation, because that is part of imprisonment. Imprisonment, yes, in part is punishment, but it's also in part rehabilitation to encourage people that when you come out, you can take a different path. And I'm very happy to hear of so many of the prisoners who have done subjects, they have tried to educate themselves while there. And this Reformation Band, I've heard them myself, they've come up on occasion and played in the square. And so, Minister Evelyn, to you and the team, PS Glasgow, and the entire team, I want to say thank you. I believe that these are the types of initiatives that demonstrate that as a government we do care and will continue to make best efforts. We continue with our efforts to have UNESCO World Heritage inscription for Nevis, and the Ministry of Culture hosted and engaged the service of 2 British heritage specialists, Mr. Barry Gamble and Mr. Paul Simons, in early February. They visited our sites, Bath Hotel, etc., Fort Charles, while they were here, and by all accounts were very impressed. So we shall seek to see how that goes as we continue to work with them. I was also able on Valentine's Day, at the invitation of Minister Evelyn, to go with him over to the Jessop's Community Center, where there was, when I tell you a gala function, I mean a gala function, resplendent in red. The seniors division had a marvelous Valentine's event over there for the seniors of Nevis. And Minister Evelyn, I again would want to congratulate you. Somebody called me, I won't call their name, but I'm sure they're listening. They say they're not a friend of Minister Evelyn, but they say, boy, I got to give him credit. When it comes to the seniors, there is nobody who has performed like him. And commendations to you. When we tell ourselves we're doing well is one thing, but when the public tell us we're doing well, that is really what we want to hear. And so commendations to you. I think the seniors program in Nevis is really one that is the envy of the region. And at that occasion, they were able to congratulate and give some commendations to Mrs. Gloria Vaughan, Glorita Vaughn, who has been a caregiver on the island for over 13 years. And so we are delighted that our seniors program continues from strength to strength. And so this is what we've done, and this is what we'll continue to do. I have a few other matters, and I will try to get through them quickly. Just to announce that Mrs. Palsy Wilkin and Mrs. Ermelita Elliott, they were recently named as the 2 new division representatives to the St. Kitts Nevis Child Welfare Board, and they are to commence their efforts shortly. And I commend them both. Both of them have, of course, given yeoman service. They have commenced, I'm told. The Easter camp registration, very popular event each year, that is already open. The camp for the children for Easter this year will run from April 6th to 17, 2020. And we are looking at introducing a very innovative and interesting new edition, something called coding. I hope members of the press don't get too technical with me because I will have difficulty explaining. But I'm told that coding is what goes into the video games and the computer programs. And we want to introduce a coding camp for our youngsters. I'm trying to make some arrangements and hope that that can come to fruition. We want to do it twice this year, in Easter and again during the summer. And so the Easter camps, we hope, will have an additional element to them. Brandon Powell of Government Road has been recognized as a Youth Impact 12 Award in the area of youth in technology. Congratulations, young Brandon. I'm told that he has amazing technological skills, and we continue, of course, to encourage him that he may progress from strength to strength. Sports. This is sports time, and everybody is getting ready. The schools are getting ready. The schools are having their various sporting events. I see the various colors. Sport is the only time that Nevisians wear more colors than politics. So the colors are out. The Nevis High School Championship is scheduled for March 14th and 15th at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. The Bank of Nevis Limited has once again come on board as the event title sponsor, contributing $20,000 to the event. And so we want to thank the Bank of Nevis for sponsoring yet again, this championship. And this is a championship, of course, between the 3 high schools in Nevis, and they will vie for supremacy. And so we commend them, and we certainly thank the Bank of Nevis for its ongoing efforts. Excellent, excellent corporate sponsor. They have always been there, and we encourage them to continue to be there. Leeward Islands debating. Nevis, we're going to win again? Don't know. Minister? Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a big yes. You know what I like to hear? Yes from people who are not debating. You know? But we've sent the team to Montserrat, and if we are able to win, we will make history, because it will be the only time that an island would have won 4 times in a row. So we would have defended in 2018, 2019. So we have 2017, 18, 19. This is now 2020. And our youngsters have gone. I'm told that we have a contingent of 18 persons, 18, who are now in Montserrat. 6 debaters, 1 staff sponsor, 2 staff chaperones, 7 student supporters. And we ask you to tune in just so that I read it into the record. The staff sponsors are Miss Pearl Bergen and Miss Utah Trish Taylor. The debaters, Michael Maloney, Brian Dorr, Delia Slack, Ursha Stapleton, Angelique Liverpool, and Dijonne Hanley. Teacher chaperones, Miss Paula Wallace, Mr. Dominic Hines, and the student supporters are Shaquania Liebert, Cassady James, Kalia Mills, Malik Liebert, Ashley Swanson, Talia Dorr, Celestial Hanley, and Naja Daniel. And so we wish our team well, and we trust and hope that they will proceed from strength to strength in that competition. We look forward certainly to hearing good news from them, and they have really impressed us over the years. They've really done remarkably well. And I remember my own days at debating. I didn't do as well, but these youngsters have really impressed. And to do it year after year with different debaters, some of whom, in fact, were debating for the first time, I think has been excellent. And I want to commend those who work with them, because when in my time, a long time ago, they only allowed us to debate in 6th form. But now people are debating as early as 4th form. And that is good. In fact, I would like to see the debating extend even to the primary schools. And I think in the fullness of time, we should try and develop that, because the ability to speak and to speak publicly is certainly important. Just two other matters quickly. The Joycelyn Library Primary, they are the winners of the 2020 Nisbet Plantation Tourism Quiz. Mr. Evelyn, congratulations. I don't know why I'm telling you congratulations, but congratulations. Joycelyn Library, winner of the 2020 Nisbet Plantation Tourism Quiz. The students representing Joycelyn Library were Anaya Liburd, Blessing Grant, and Belinda Subramani. The Nevis Academy was in second place. They were represented by Zachariah Pemberton, Sion Gishard, and Micah Maynard. And in third place was VOGN. Congratulations to the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. VOGN, third place. And they were represented by Adiel Webb, Jada Bedford, and Dijon Wallace. 9 primary schools participated in this year's competition. Nisbet Plantation, the main sponsor of the event for over 10 years, was represented by its general manager, Mary Jo Ryan. And so I want to thank John Hanley, our PS in tourism, and the team there for their efforts in organizing this quiz each year. And thank Nisbet as a good corporate sponsor for always being there with us. The park at Pinnes. We have been engaged in preparatory work, hoping that the construction, actual physical construction, will start soon. And as part of that, the Honorable Deputy Premier, Alexis Jeffers, and the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and I, we traveled to Cades Bay, where they are propagating plants, which will then be transplanted to the park. There were over 850 plants there, various palms and different plants. And His Excellency Tom Lee, the Republic of China, Taiwan, resident ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis, he was there with us and showed us around. We also had, I believe, the PS in agriculture, Mr. Huey Sargent was there. And so we're definitely looking forward to this project. We think it will be an excellent project for Nevis, and we look forward to that project taking root this year. Not just the plans taking root, but the project taking root, and that we will be able to expand on that. Now, this is part and parcel of our 10,000 Trees initiative. I believe that those who are driving along the bypass road will see some lovely palms. I hope that our people appreciate that what we're seeking to do is to beautify, but at the same time, do the planting. Now, one cynic said to me, when you plant some big palms down there, they had to have come from somewhere. And that's the truth, they did come from somewhere. So what I'm here to say is that, yes, what we're doing is that we take the mature palms from somewhere, we plant smaller palms and hope that they too will get to a mature stage. So we are thinking about it, we are executing it, and I know we launched this at St. Thomas's. And this is something I'm proud of. In fact, someone sent me a memo from the Virgin Islands and said that they had a whole show down there in the U.S. Virgin Islands about this initiative and asking why it is they couldn't do something similar in the Virgin Islands. And so I've heard the critics, and you know, what is Nevis without critics? But the reality is that this initiative is a useful initiative. It is an ode to the environment, and it is demonstrative of our commitment to a better Nevis and looking beyond us to our children and grandchildren. Exposition Nevis this year, signature event for our Ministry of Tourism. It will run from 26 April to 8th May under the theme Nevis Tourism 2020, Talent and Technology. It is our annual awareness activity. It will include a church service, community festivals, hospitality immersion exercise for primary and high school students, a village walk, and culminates with a Heritage Village Festival. Also, save the date, please. The Caribbean Tourism Organization's Human Resource Conference for the first time will be hosted in Nevis from May 20th to 22nd under the theme Navigating the Next Phase of Caribbean Tourism, Talent and Technology 2020 and beyond. Government departments and private sector encouraged to register staff for the conference. Registration information is available at www.onecaribbean.org, or you can contact the Ministry of Tourism 463-0051. Our annual tourism awards will happen in June 2020. Requests for nominations will be published shortly. Our Mango Festival is on again this year, 2nd to 5th July, and Restaurant Week will run from July 16th to 26th. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are my updates. I would now invite questions from members of the press and ask you to keep your questions short, sharp, and to the point so that we can get through as much information as we can. It is now 11 a.m., and so we'll try to get through as quickly as we can. Please, as usual, say who you are, and then you can proceed to ask your question. Thank you.
Pleasant good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Bjorn Hanley from BHC Media. Our company's website is www.bhcmedia.online. We are also on YouTube. You can find us by searching for BHC Media TV. Make sure you subscribe to that.
There's something playing in the background. Could we please? All right.
And our Facebook page is BHC Media. Make sure you like that page as well. And
Mr. Hanley, is there a question? Because you're doing an advertisement for your company. You know, just say who you are, and your company is well known already.
BHC Media.
Yeah, BHC Media. Bjorn Hanley, BHC Media. Let's
Yes,
get the
sir.
question now. Thanks.
Okay. Some information came to my desk
Yes.
the other day, a court document in regards to geothermal, a long report, and I'm going to pull a few points from it. The document is saying a well for the geothermal cannot be used for 5 to 10 years, and this was after over $5 million was spent with the drilling company. The drilling company only drilled to 4,000 feet. They were contracted to drill to 5,000 feet. And this was as a result of the incompetent staff and corroded material, drilling material that they brought in. So they were unable to fulfill their obligations by drilling to 5,000 feet. The wells also were poorly covered. And as a result of this fiasco, the U.S. senators are now involved. Senator Ted Cruz and the Senator for Energy Secretary Perry are now involved. And their concern is that the fiasco in Nevis, the geothermal fiasco, can affect the reputation worldwide. We know that the NREI company contracted to carry out geothermal in Nevis. They were contracted to collect the proceeds once geothermal is up and running, to collect 87.5% of the profits, whereas the citizens of Nevis were only supposed to collect 11%. Under this backdrop, can you give us an update on the geothermal progress on the island of Nevis? Question number 2. Information also came to my desk that there was a truck at London Housing, a white truck brought in by the late Honorable Malcolm Gishard. That truck is no longer at London Housing. Can you let us know the location of that truck and the owner as well? Question number 3. Mr. Premier, you spoke a lot about debating in schools. However, your opponent, Dr. Daly, has called for debate with you before the election. My question is, when will you debate Dr. Daly on matters of national interest in this country? That's it for now. If you could answer these,
Okay.
and I'll come back and respond to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hanley. Let's deal with some of the substantive matters you've raised. Geothermal. I myself have learned that there's some dispute between NREI and a driller that was selected by NREI to do some work here. Beyond that, I don't know what else I can tell you, because the government is not involved in that dispute. That's a dispute between contracting parties. NREI is the entity that the government has asked to develop geothermal, and if they contracted a driller and are unsatisfied or dissatisfied with that driller's performance, and that's a matter for them, and I'm told that they have court action that's ongoing. I don't know where that court action is going to go, because I believe that the last I heard was that the driller may no longer exist, that they have had their own financial problems. But that is a dispute that is between them. The government is not involved in that dispute. The government is not a party to that dispute. So I would want to make that very clear, and that is a matter that will have to be resolved. We understand that litigation is available to whoever has issues. That's the nature of it. That's why you have lawyers and courts and arbitration and other methodologies to resolve disputes. And in business transactions, disputes arise, disputes must be resolved. And that is what is happening. I will just remind you, however, that this geothermal story is a very long story. And there was a company called West Indies Power that was here and that had been given an exclusive arrangement by a previous government. And that government then took West Indies Power to court to extricate themselves from that agreement that they had made. That under that agreement, the people of Nevis got 10%, and West Indies Power would have had 90%, and that we went and we renegotiated with a new company. And so our shareholding went from 10% to 12.5%, and we also negotiated a royalty, I think, and that royalty runs to another 10% that we get on any geothermal that is extracted. And so I think that the arrangement that we now have is in fact a better arrangement than that which was negotiated before. And so litigation is happening. The litigation does not involve the NIA. There is no allegation against the NIA. The NIA has done nothing that would warrant any litigation against the NIA. And if other parties are having a dispute, then that is a matter for them. They would have to resolve that dispute. I would have seen a recent press release from the NREI indicating that they've now consummated a financial arrangement with a company called Albioma, A-L-B-I-O-M-A, Albioma, and that they will now be moving forward post-haste with this project now that the financing situation has been resolved. That is the last update that I had. I believe that update came last week, if memory serves. And so I hope that that would suffice and that you could do some research on Albioma and get that press release to see where they're going. This litigation does not appear in any way to be stopping the forward momentum with geothermal and geothermal exploration. Truck at Land and Housing, I'm not aware of any truck at Land and Housing. You say where the truck has gone, who owns it now? I really can't answer that, but I will check and I will certainly get back to you in relation to that. I'll be more than happy to do that. Debating, you say that someone has asked to debate me. I'm not particularly pressed one way or the other. I am in a position now where I'm concerned with doing the work of the people of Nevis, and I believe that when an election comes, and one will come, that I will go to the people and I will take to them my record of service over these past several years. There are some, no doubt, who would want to get on my stage and would want the exposure that they will get from standing up next to me. My stage is not built for that. I worked hard to develop my stage, and I would suggest to those out there who want a stage of their own that they put in the work to develop their stage. So the reality is that this is politics. We understand how politics works, and I believe that those who aspire to political office have ample opportunity to go hid and yon and say what they need to say. They don't need me standing next to them in order to say what they need to say. So that is my simple position there. People know me, know that where discussions are concerned, I'm always open. But I'm open to discussions that are genuinely intended to advance ideas for the benefit of the people of Nevis. The kind of discussion that I have been privy to, coming from the other side, is simply all-out fabrications, nonsensical utterings, taking issues that in my view are not issues at all and trying to escalate them. Most recently I'm hearing that now some of them are denying that they got 2 salaries that they've been accusing me of, denying that they themselves collected when the paperwork is there for all to see. Matter of fact, I should bring the paperwork and share it with you, Mr. Hanley, and hope that BHC Media would do full coverage of that. But these are some of the things that I don't think that there's value in it. And as I said, all that people want is to climb up on my stage. So let them develop their own platform, and God be with them.
Just to respond to your statement, you said that the government has nothing to do with the geothermal court matter at this time.
The litigation, yes.
The litigation and the company and what's not. However, the company was brought in and incorporated in your office, and also this is now a fiasco worldwide.
Why is it a fiasco, Mr. Hanley?
U.S. senators are now involved.
Involved how? Involved how?
Involved in the court matter because it may affect the reputation of geothermal in the Western Hemisphere. So they are now involved in it. So how can you now say the government has nothing to do with it?
But Mr. Hanley,
the reputation of Nevis.
Mr. Hanley, or were you trying to get to with your question? Maybe you can reformulate it and bring it. But what I can tell is that the Nevis Island administration is not a party to any litigation. The Nevis Island administration is not involved in any litigation. The litigation, as I understand it, is between NREI and the contractor that NREI hired to do some drilling. And they said the drilling was not done to the specification that the contract required. That is as much as I know. And they are resolving their dispute.
Well, if you're not involved, I suggest you get involved.
All right.
Question, the response to the land and housing truck. You said you don't know anything about that. Well, the information that came to me is that that truck is now another color, and it is doing quite a bit of work on the island of Nevis.
Okay.
So if you can look into that, I would be grateful.
I did say I would look into it, Mr. Hanley. And if you didn't hear me the first time, I will look into it and come back to you. Since you're interested in the colors of trucks, we will get that sorted out. I hope it's blue. Is it truck blue now? Is the best color? Yes, Ms. Washington.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Washington, I think it's Nevis Observer newspaper.
Yes.
Earlier you spoke about the federal government issuing a travel advisory to and from China.
Yes.
My question is, what about importation from products from China that may have come in contact with the coronavirus? Education. Recently, there was a big fight at one of the public high schools on Nevis. It is alleged that it might have been gang-related. The federal government and the NIA have been able to identify some of the gang members that are outside of the school. But what about the gang members that are within the school system? What is the government doing to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again, where students or teachers are injured?
You see, have you gone from alleged to making sure that something like this doesn't happen again? You start out by saying it is alleged, and then by that time you get to the end of the question, it's a fact.
Yes. So,
Yes, go ahead.
Taiwanese money, the
Yes.
$5 million, or the $5 million loan, well, the $5 million that is
Yes.
set aside for loans for women and men under 35 to start new businesses or to expand new businesses, we were made to understand that there is a 20% down payment that needs to be made. My question is, how is this a good thing for persons starting up who cannot come up with that 20%, whose business is actually starting from the ground and will not be able to make any money right away? How can this loan benefit these people?
Okay.
And the last question is the artisan village. Recently, the vendors have been complaining about holes where rats and roaches are being able to come in and destroy some of their products. What is being done to fix this problem? And I will just say BNL, and I'll leave it there.
Okay. Okay. Products from China, there's no evidence so far as we have it yet that the COVID-19 virus is spread through products. So if you get a bed from China or a stove from China, we have no indication. From what we understand, it's being spread people to people contact. It's like a flu, and how a flu is spread. So I don't think that the ban extends to any products. It extends to travel because of people, and that people appear to be the vector. That is who's spreading the virus. So I have no information on any products from China being banned as a result. The fight at Charleston Secondary School, I think, is unfortunate. It's terribly unfortunate when these things happen. I have not heard the allegation of any gang-related activity, and so I can't speak to that. What I can say is that we continue to investigate and continue to seek to educate our people, all of our people, but particularly our young people, in terms of dispute resolution, that they can resolve disputes peacefully. I think the fight was a very unfortunate incident. We have over the years seen these things pop up. Sometimes they even end up on social media because people take videos of them. And I think it is terribly unfortunate when young people behave in that way. Unfortunate when any of us behave in that way. So these are matters that we're looking at, but I don't have any information that any gang-related activity was involved in this at all. We continue to work with at-risk youths. We continue to do a number of things in the society, and I believe that thus far it appears that our efforts have been yielding some fruit. We're not declaring victory because one never can declare victory over